So we have a new client here who came in last week with very overfiled nails. So what I did last week was gentle manicure, and I can see already the skin around the nails is looking better because the client is using carousel, and we did IBX treatment. And we'll see if I'm going to do it again, probably, and just keeping the nails short. And unfortunately, the damage just has to grow out. And I just explained to the client that unfortunately a little bit of patience is necessary. And also we did one coat of base dazzle dry and one coat of top coat as well. And this is something that I talk about often, and this is not necessarily for shine. It's, I don't know what it is about the dazzle dry base coat and top coat. It just makes the nails feel a little bit better. They just feel a little bit harder in a good way, especially when they're flimsy like that, when they're damaged. So this is what I do when the nails are so sensitive, when they're that overfiled, just the coat to make them feel a little bit better. So I'm going to explain everything as I'm going. So I'm using pure acetone here. I like using pure acetone, and we've had that conversation quite a few times on the channel, is I can see everything. I can see what's going on. I can see what the driest skin is. I can see where the nail is. I can see where the cuticle is. So it looks very dry because acetone gives like a white, leaves like a white residue on the skin, but it's very temporary. So that's not a big deal. After the manicure, we are going to do oil and cream, and everything is going to be okay. Because whenever you have any water or any glycerin or any oils in the remover, those things are left behind after the acetone has evaporated, and they make the skin look better. So they're not necessarily less drying. Well, they would be if you didn't put any cream after the acetone. So yes, because you would have the oil behind and the water and the glycerin. But if we put the water and the glycerin and the cream after, it's the same. Acetone is not drying. I'm just speaking from my experience, and I really don't feel that the acetone is long-term drying for the nails, especially when you use it like once a week. I'm actually going to take pictures now, and because I always like to see progress. Okay, so I'm going to shorten the nails, and I told the client as well that it's best to shorten the nails. As you see any growth, any white, just remove it, because when the nails are this weak, they will just snap, right? So it's better to keep them as short as possible. But thankfully they're growing quite fast, so they're going to grow out, because really it's, as you can see, this part is quite damaged. There's some damage here as well, but the most of the damage, the overfiled area, is here. So once, this is probably going to take about 3 weeks at least. Once this grows out, this is going to feel much better. And at this point, I wouldn't even worry about any shaping or anything like that. And very often what I see is when our viewers are sending us pictures, people try to keep the nails a little bit longer. And you know what? I really don't recommend it. As long as the nails are damaged, it's better to keep them as short as possible. And then once the damage is gone, then you can start thinking about growing out the nails, because it doesn't make sense to try to grow them when they're this weak. Because what happens is the nails, when they're that flexible and that weak, they bend too much, and sometimes they break in this stress area, and then we have a bigger problem. So you can't even shorten the nails then, and then they catch on everything. There's the tiniest amount of gel here on the side. I left it last time because I just did not want to do any filing. And I think I'm just gonna leave it. If it's there, it's not bothering anyone. It's better to just leave it until it grows out. Sometimes when the nails are damaged, you can see that they almost curl up. That's also a sign of damage. Actually, you can probably see this here. There's a little crack right here. This happens when the nail plate is overfiled so badly. It's just, there's just way too much flex. And at this point, using a hardener would be a very bad idea. And that's usually what people want because they want their nails harder because they're too bendy, right? But the hardener is going to just make the nails super brittle, and I really don't recommend it at this point when they're that damaged. Okay, so this looks much better. So now I'm gonna do a dry manicure because I'm going to be doing IBX treatment after. If you're using IBX and you don't want to do a dry manicure, then you could do the IBX before you do a regular manicure. But I really like, especially when working on damaged nails, I like doing the dry manicures because I can see everything that I'm doing. But again, you need to have a proper training because you have to be very, very light-handed. So someone who's doing their own nails, I would not recommend using an electric file whatsoever, because you can do more damage than good, especially filing off gels. Honestly, don't do that. It's very easy to overdo it because it's very hard to see where the gel ends and where the nail starts, right? So it's very, very easy to overdo it. So now I'm pushing back. I actually had a comment in one of the older videos, and someone was asking, isn't it easier to push back when after the nails are soaked? You know, I really do. I don't push too much. I'm just pushing as far as the skin will go comfortably. I don't really jam this tool underneath. So I feel that this is a very effective way, and over time that the skin gets better. Okay, so now this is a very low speed. Check what it is. Okay, this is 8,000 RPM. So I'm just removing the cuticle from the nail plate, and at the same time I can just exfoliate the skin a tiny bit. So what I'm doing here is, this is so important. It's okay to, I mean, in my opinion, do what the laws allow you to do in your country or whatever you're working. But the important thing is to understand the difference between exfoliation and removing dry skin. Because really, exfoliation is not supposed to remove dry skin. It's supposed to just to refresh the area very, very gently. But you cannot remove dry skin. Dry skin, as I say in many of the videos, has to be healed with using proper skincare. So what I'm doing here is I'm just giving the skin a little exfoliation, just so it feels nicer, but I'm not trying to remove every flake of dry skin, because then you can totally overdo it and harm the skin. So when I'm doing these manicures, I like to take pictures because I want to see if this client's skin is improving or it's getting worse. Because sometimes if you overdo things, you create almost like a rebound effect. So the more you file, the more callus you're creating, right? Because callus happens when there is a friction or pressure on the skin. So we're not trying to, again, remove dry skin, just trying to very gently exfoliate the skin. And then the client has to take care of their skin. It's just like a facial. The facial is not going to fix your dry skin. It's going to make the skin look better, but the client still has to use creams and gentle skincare in order to address the dryness. Same goes with the skin around the nails. Very often it's very tempting to pick at the skin when it's dry, and then it creates like a catch-22. So you pick, so it becomes dry, and because it's dry, then you pick. So sometimes just smoothing this a little bit, and then again using the cream to correct it, it really helps, because it's just, the skin becomes a little bit smoother, and then you're not as tempted to pick at it. And this usually happens to the thumbs. wipe the nails with alcohol, we're going to do IBX treatment. So this is the IBX Repair, the thinner product. So it stays on the nails for a minute. It has to be heated up for a minute and then cured. So now I'm going to dab it off, and I had someone ask me if this is dry cotton. Yes, it is. So we're just going to remove whatever has not soaked in, because we don't want any product on top of the nail, we want the product in the nail. And this goes in the lamp, and then dentro. And as I'm dabbing it off, I'm not going with this cotton all over the skin, right? Because we don't want this on the skin. Okay. Now I'm going to wipe this with alcohol. This product does not have to be applied like exactly perfectly onto the nail, because the little channels in the nail, they don't go straight down. They just kind of go all around the nail, so it's going to go in there. So the purpose of this treatment is really not to repair the nails, because nothing will repair them. But we want to condition the nail, and we want to support whatever is left. So this will soak into the nail, and it will support the nail as the nail is growing. So this is how this works. And now this goes under the heat now for 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to dab it off again, just like I did the first coat. Because the thing is, if you don't dab it off, what's going to happen is the product is going to cure it onto the nail, and then it's going to chip, which defeats the whole point of doing this treatment. Okay. And again, I'm going to wipe it with alcohol. Just in case, twice. Again, wiping it away from the nail, not rubbing it into the skin. I'm gonna grab the other side of the pad. And now the Dazzle Dry Base Coat just for some coating. I mean, at this point, obviously, if you don't have Dazzle Dry, then you can use another polish just to give the nails a layer of something, just to make them a little bit less sensitive. For this purpose, I prefer polishes that are nitrocellulose free because, I don't know, from what I'm reading, it's the nitrocellulose can also cause some surface damage to the nail. So if the nail is already weakened like this, I'm not sure if the nitrocellulose is helping. I could be wrong, but I would rather be careful. Normally it's fine. Nitrocellulose can cause some yellowing and some surface damage, but the nitrocellulose-free polishes, unfortunately, they don't stay on very long. They start to peel very easily, usually after like 2-3 days. But if you have some patience, then what you can do is just take the polish off after a couple of days when it starts to peel. And it peels off in like a coat. It's strange. And then just reapply it. Or if you can stand the nails without the nail polish, that's fine too, and just do warm oil soak once a week. And keep applying oil, obviously, after each hand wash, just to protect the nails. Now the problem with Dazzle Dry is that it does not have, it's not very thick. The film that it creates is very, very thin, and because of that, it shows any imperfection in a nail. So just like any system, there are pros and cons to Dazzle Dry. So this is not going to be perfectly smooth. It's not really for the look, it's more for the function. So as you can see, this is quite uneven. I'm going to put a second layer of top coat just to kind of smooth them a little bit more.